When Michaela Limpsey vanished 5 years ago, her father Jack had his life upended. There had been no sign of her, no answers, only an aching hole in his soul. The agony was unimaginable, and it plagued him every minute of every day. However, one afternoon, Jack made a discovery while gardening in his yard. He gripped it firmly and yanked it out of the cool dirt. He had no idea he was set to reveal a secret that had been buried for 5 years. Jack had been faced with several obstacles in his own life. Before his precious little girl had vanished, Jack's relationship with Michaela's mom had been on the rocks. In the end, they chose to separate and later divorce. The divorce settlement left Jack with full custody of their daughter, while his ex got their house and most of what had been their life together. After the divorce, Michaela's parents were caught in a vicious custody dispute. Jack refused to stand down, unable to imagine his life without Michaela. Camilla, her mother, also fought hard. Jack was given full custody, but it meant that he would lose the house they had lived in together, as well as much of their life as a family. He still should have been prepared for the worst times yet to come. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our upcoming stories. He poured all his efforts into his job, devoted to giving Michaela the happiest life he could. He worked extra long days and tackled every obstacle he experienced head on. He was ensuring a loving and secure life for him and Michaela. As time went by, Jack was facing the solitude of being a single parent. Because he'd been concentrating on his job and raising his daughter, his romantic life had faded away. Now he was becoming increasingly lonely. He longed for the type of intimacy he could never find in the bond of a father and daughter. One evening, it all came to a head. Just when Jack had started to think he would be alone forever, light returned to his life in the form of Elisa. With her compassion, empathy, and tenderness, she helped to soothe the wounds left on his heart by his ex-wife. Elisa represented a new beginning and lit a hope of fulfillment in Jack. Jack's relationship with Elisa had gone better than he ever could have dreamed. After 2 years together, he proposed, and soon after, they were married. But she was much more than just his wife. For a long time, Elisa had been Jack's rock and a source of empathy and support. She'd seen the scars from the past and did everything she could to help him heal. As Jack was reveling in this unfamiliar happiness, it was interrupted by something terrible. Michaela had vanished. The 13-year-old had gone out with some friends on a Saturday and never came home. Her friends alleged that Michaela had gone home in an Uber, but Jack and Lisa hadn't seen any trace of her. They immediately filed a report, and as the investigation began, the anxious couple hoped for the best. They didn't know that the worst was yet to come. Michaela's mysterious disappearance caused the happiness of Jack and Elisa's marriage to fall apart. The two of them began an endless search, forever hopeful that they might find their precious daughter. But a few hours became a few days, then weeks, then a whole month, 2, 3, and 4, 5 months. It had been a whole year without a trace of Michaela. Another year followed in the same manner. Then 2 more. Their hope was starting to run out, leaving them with only a permanent hole in their hearts. Camilla took this chance to open legal battle after legal battle, draining Jack emotionally and financially. Elisa stood by Jack's side. Her love never wavered, and she became his pillar of strength. Another year passed, marking the 5th anniversary of Michaela's disappearance. Jack landscaped his yard. One fateful morning, the metallic clink echoed through the silence. His gardening tools had struck against something metallic buried deep within the soil. He unearthed a buried chain, its links glistening with the morning dew. Jack, curiosity piqued, unaware that this chain held the key to unraveling a dark secret. Stepping back, he held his waist as he tried to remember if he'd ever seen this chain before. But Jack couldn't remember planting the chain into the ground. He realized the chain wasn't just tangled. It seemed anchored to something buried deep below. Frustration crept in, but curiosity overshadowed it. Realizing he needed more than his simple gardening tools, Jack decided to call his neighbor, Russo, who had a collection of digging equipment. Together, they formed a determined duo, armed with shovels and a shared determination to unravel whatever lay beneath the surface of Jack Swan's tranquil garden. Armed with shovels and determination, Jack and Russo dug for hours, following the rust-eaten metallic links of the chain. The two continued digging, and finally, the metallic edges of a chest revealed themselves. Jack and Russo, breathless with excitement, heaved it out of the ground. Its size sent a chill down their spines, hinting at a dark mystery. The lid creaked open, revealing not treasures, but piles of papers, notes, clothes, shoes, and jackets. They discovered old diaries detailing a harrowing story of guilt and involvement in a terrible crime. Though vague at first, the entries narrated a dark account that shouldn't have been brought to light. Jack couldn't believe that such a sinister chest had existed right under his nose for all this time. If only he knew who the accounts talked about. At once he thought about his Michaela, lost. The accounts in the diaries echoed the pain he had experienced 5 years ago when she vanished. His suspicions about his wife's involvement in Michaela's disappearance started to take shape. Jack remembered feeling like Elisa was hiding something. He could see how uncomfortable she seemed. In her attempts to soothe his pain, it had felt like she was trying too hard, as if she was covering up something. Jack decided to ask Elisa about the diaries. He showed her the pages and the clothes, watching her face change from denial to shock. Unable to maintain her composure, Elisa ran into the backyard, where chaos awaited her. The neatly landscaped area now resembled a crime scene. With nowhere to run, Elisa broke down and confessed. She started with the biggest question. Why had she done all this when Jack had done nothing but love and respect her? The answer lay with his ex-wife, Camila, who had orchestrated everything. "She's alive," Elisa added meekly. Jack looked up at her. After everything she'd known and allowed him to endure, why would she torment him with this? Enough, he stammered, his eyes tinged with tears. "Please, enough. Michaela, she's alive and well." Elisa revealed that she and Michaela had secretly been in contact for the last 5 years. Camila had whisked the girl out of the state to her in-laws, and Elisa had fought tooth and tail to find her. She never stopped talking to her, updating her about her dad's well-being. But she couldn't tell Jack, as she knew what he was capable of. He'd go straight to Alaska and the consequences would rain down. "I'm okay with facing the consequences of my actions. I've wronged you, and I'll accept whatever comes." The next few months saw her attend court sessions, but she wasn't the one on trial. She stood as a witness against Camila, who had vehemently denied the accusations Jack flung at her. She stood by Jack as he fought for justice. The courtroom became a battleground where truth and lies clashed. It was the least she could do after everything she'd been involved in. After a prolonged legal struggle, the court found Camila guilty of her malicious deeds. The sentence was a bittersweet victory for Jack and Elisa. At the end of Camila's defeat came a long-awaited reunion. Jack reunited with his daughter. Camila faced the consequences of her actions. Elisa embraced a path of redemption through community service. As for Michaela and Jack, a 5-year-long nightmare had finally ended.